You gave her everything, your time, your heart, your loyalty. You showed up, you stayed loyal, you cared deeply. And still, she pulled away. Still, she said, I don't feel it anymore. Still, she smiled at another man, someone who didn't care half as much. And you're left asking why. The truth is, she didn't want everything. She wanted something else, something rarer, something most men don't even realize they're missing. She wanted a man who's mastered himself, a man who doesn't need to speak loudly to be felt, a man who doesn't try to impress her, but earns her respect in silence, a man who doesn't chase because he's already whole without her. And here's what you're about to discover. When you understand this, it flips everything you thought you knew about love upside down. If you're tired of being the nice guy who always loses, if it hurts to watch men who barely try somehow win, then listen closely, because this is the most important message you'll ever hear about women, love, and the man you must become. Now, before we go deeper, drop a I rise in the comments if you're ready to become the man she doesn't walk away from. Most men are bleeding silently. We give our love freely, but no one taught us how to make it last. No one taught us what really makes a woman stay. It's not gifts, looks, or status. It's something far deeper. That's why I've created the Stoic relationship blueprint for men. It's dropping in just a few days. And if you're serious about becoming the man who finally gets it right, this is your moment. What you're about to learn will open your eyes to why the wrong men win and how to become the right one. Because if you don't understand what truly draws and keeps a woman, not for a night but for a lifetime, you'll keep chasing shadows. So now, let's break it down. Here are the 6 traits women fall for, and why they stay even when the man isn't rich, flashy, or perfect. Trait number 1, emotional control. Emotional control isn't something you're born with. It's a discipline, a muscle forged through discomfort, failure, and brutal self-honesty. It's the ability to sit with pain, not numb it, not escape it, but to face it head on. The man who does that becomes unshakable. This isn't about hiding your feelings. It's not about acting like nothing bothers you. It's about integrating your emotions so they don't control you. Think back to the last time you felt betrayed. Your chest tightened, your mind raced, your thoughts spiraled. Most men in that moment either explode or shut down. But the man who changes his life is the one who sits still, breathes, feels it all, and chooses not to react impulsively. When your partner questions your worth, when your boss disrespects your work, when life punches holes in your expectations, do you lash out or do you stay grounded? Here's what no one tells you. Women test your emotional strength, not to hurt you, but to feel your frame. She wants to know if you crumble when pushed, not because she's cruel, but because emotional safety is everything. And that safety doesn't come from you always being nice. It comes from you being solid. She needs to know that when her world shakes, you don't. That when she spirals, you stay still. That you can say no without guilt. That you can listen without reacting. That you make decisions without needing approval. That's not coldness. That's leadership. Because the man who can hold his emotional ground commands respect without ever asking for it. He doesn't chase closure. He doesn't beg to be understood. He leads himself first. And here's the hard truth. If she doesn't feel emotionally safe around you, she'll slowly pull away, even if she still cares. Emotional control is presence. It's power. It's the ability to be fully in the moment, without being ruled by it. And when you live like that, something shifts. She leans in. She may not be able to explain why, but she trusts you more. She feels something deeper, and that changes everything. If you struggle with this, don't shame yourself. Start small. Create space between stimulus and response. When anger rises, pause, breathe, write instead of react. Study your patterns. Get to know your triggers. Train your body. Because physical discipline sharpens mental clarity. Set micro goals. Resist the urge to check your phone when you're anxious. Choose a walk over an argument. You can't control what she does, but you can control how you show up. That's real strength, because yelling doesn't make you heard. Sulking doesn't make you seen. Presence is what makes you felt. Emotional control isn't about looking stoic. It's about being fortified from within. It's the kind of power that doesn't shout. It just is. The man who can stand in fire without being consumed doesn't have to chase love. He becomes love's gravity, and in his stillness, she finds safety. She finds depth, and most of all, she finds a reason to stay. Trait number 2, purpose-driven focus. Purpose-driven focus is the gravity that holds your life together when everything else tries to tear it apart. It's not just a job or a side hustle, it's a deeper force. The thing that shapes your identity, sharpens your decisions, and drowns out the noise that distracts weaker men. If you wake up every day without a reason that's bigger than comfort, you are already losing. Because a man without purpose isn't just standing still, he's drifting, vulnerable to every distraction, every temptation, every fake form of validation. And here's the part most men ignore. She notices. She notices how you spend your time when no one's watching. She hears the way you talk about your dreams, or how you don't talk about them at all. She feels it when you've stopped growing. She may not say it out loud, but it sticks with her. It lingers in how she looks at you, because purpose isn't just about ambition. It's about who you are when life hits hard. It's about getting up when your body wants to quit, staying locked in when she pulls away, building your life when nobody's clapping. Women are drawn to men who are going somewhere, not because they're busy, but because they're driven, not because they're already successful, but because they're aligned with something deeper than approval. If your purpose dies the moment she leaves, then it wasn't purpose. It was dependency. Your mission must be bigger than your heartbreak, bigger than your pride, bigger than your comfort zone. Build a body that can carry you through hard seasons. Train even when you're tired. Run when your legs beg you to stop. Read daily, especially when your mind is restless. Write your goals, not just what you want, but why you want it. Break them down into actions. Attack them every day. A man with purpose doesn't wait for motivation. He moves with discipline. This isn't about hustle culture. This is about soul alignment. When you're lost, write. When you're uncertain, move. When you're heartbroken, create. Purpose isn't just something external. It's internal stability. It means you don't get thrown off by her mood swings, her silence, her doubts. You stay on your path. She may walk away, but your mission doesn't. And if she stays, she'll stay because she knows that with or without her, you will become the man you were born to be. That kind of purpose changes how she sees you. Because deep down, she knows most men are pretending. But you're building, and you don't need applause. The work itself is enough, because the man who walks in alignment never has to chase. He attracts not just women, but respect, opportunities, and peace. Trait number 3, inner integrity. You can't lead if your own soul doesn't trust you, and she can't follow you if she senses, even for a second, that you fold when no one's watching. Integrity isn't about doing the right thing when it's easy. It's about choosing the harder right when the easier wrong would go unnoticed. She hears the promises you make, but what truly matters is whether you keep them when it's inconvenient, when it hurts, when no one's looking. Because every time you say you'll hit the gym and skip it, every time you tolerate what you once said you'd never allow again, you weaken the trust you have in yourself. And if you don't trust you, how can she? If your values change depending on who's in the room, then you don't have values. You have masks. You want loyalty. Then understand this. Loyalty is drawn to consistency. Be ruthless with yourself. Say what you mean and follow through like your life depends on it, because it does. She's watching when you say you'll fix your finances, then waste hours in distractions. She notices when you claim you're serious about growth, but run from the work. And over time, that quiet erosion of self-respect is what makes you shrink in your own eyes. You must become the kind of man who wakes up and checks in with himself before the world tells him who to be. Write down your values. Define your non-negotiables. Then test them in small ways. Show up when it's inconvenient. Keep your word when no one's clapping. Walk away from anything that costs your soul, even if it pays your bills. And when you're tempted to compromise, remember this. Once you sell out, even once, it becomes easier to do it again. Integrity won't make life easier, but it will make it clearer. And when you become that man, your presence alone creates safety. She stops questioning and starts believing. You stop needing to explain yourself because your actions speak before your words. Trait number 4, emotional backbone, conviction, who cannot be faked. When you speak and glance at her for approval, she doesn't hear your words. She feels the weight behind them. And if it's light, so is her respect. Emotional backbone means you don't collapse under the pressure of her emotions. You don't flinch when she's loud. You don't shrink when she's disappointed. You don't retreat when she disagrees. Because truth doesn't need permission to stand tall. Every man has felt the moment. Her mood shifts, not because you did something wrong, but because she's feeling unstable and needs to feel your stability. When you fold, when you apologize just to keep the peace, when you twist your beliefs to avoid tension, you slowly kill the attraction. You must stand in your truth with calm, not arrogance. A quiet knowing that what you believe is not up for negotiation, even with the woman you love. Backbone means your boundaries are so real, they don't need to be spoken. They're lived. When she sees she can be angry, emotional, unpredictable, and you stay grounded, not to control her, but to stay true to you, that's when she knows she's with a man, not a pleaser, not a performer, not a boy, but a man who leads, not by demand, but by direction. Ask yourself, when was the last time you stood your ground, even when it cost you her comfort? Have you ever disagreed with her and stayed calm, not to win, but to honor your own values? This is your call. To stop avoiding discomfort, to stop letting guilt lead, to stop being pulled by emotion, and start anchoring yourself in principle. The world has enough men who abandon themselves at the first sign of conflict. Be the rare one who holds his frame. Say what needs to be said. Refuse to be shaken by the storm. And when you lead like this, not only does she respect you, she relaxes. Because when you become immovable, she feels safe enough to be fully herself. Not because she's controlled, not because she's manipulated, but because she's seen, tested, and still held. That's the gift of emotional backbone. She knows that no matter how far she falls, you won't fall with her. You'll stand, and that is what makes her stay. Trait number 5, mystery and depth. She's drawn not to everything you show, but to what you hold back with purpose. There's a unique magnetism in a man who doesn't feel the need to explain every part of himself. It's not about being distant, it's about being full. A man with depth doesn't dominate conversations because he carries something far more powerful than words, purpose. Pain transformed into wisdom, a mission bigger than attention. Ask yourself, when you're with her, do you rush to fill the silence with stories about where you've been or what you've done? Or do you allow the moment to breathe, knowing she feels more in your presence than in your paragraphs? Mystery isn't manipulation, it's maturity. It's a quiet confidence that comes from having walked through fire and no longer needing to prove your scars. Your posture says, I've endured. I'm still here. Women are drawn to that calm stillness, that deep presence that whispers, I don't need you to see me. I already see myself. Mystery isn't about hiding. It's about having more beneath the surface than what you reveal. When you spend years building yourself privately, your presence becomes a story that doesn't need telling. And when she senses that, she wants to know more, not because of what you say, but because of who you are. Think about the most magnetic men you've ever seen. They weren't loud. They weren't chasing validation. They were anchored. They walk into a room not looking to be seen, but to understand. This is depth. This is the man who reads philosophy not to impress, but to challenge his thinking. The man who journals in silence, trains before dawn, builds not for followers but for freedom. Mystery is earned in solitude. It's forged in the commitment to grow when no one's watching, and it's revealed not in speeches, but in presence. When you stop chasing attention and start building a life so rich it doesn't need advertisement, everything changes. She begins to feel that you're not there to impress her, but to invite her into a world that exists, whether she's in it or not. That's what makes her lean in. Women don't want a man who needs them to feel alive. They want a man who's already fully alive and chooses to share that energy with her. And depth, it's layered. It's the ability to feel deeply, but not get lost in feelings. To hold space for her storms without being swept away. To be moved by art, music, beauty, but never enslaved by emotion. It's having values so rich that even in chaos, you don't betray them. To cultivate mystery and depth, you must first be honest about who you are when no one's clapping. Do you read for truth? Do you train out of respect for your body? Do you reflect because your growth matters? Or are you still chasing noise because you fear what silence might reveal? Your goal isn't to impress, it's to embody, to walk through life with a presence that requires no announcement, to be the kind of man she respects, not for what you do for her, but for who you are when she's not around. Write your truths. Know your story. Don't share every page. Let her discover you chapter by chapter. Build your character so richly that even if she never finishes the book, she's forever changed by the parts she's read. That's mystery. That's depth. That's what makes a man unforgettable. And here's what most men never realize. Mystery isn't built through tricks, detachment, or pretending to be unavailable. It's built through depth, your lived experience, your choices when no one's watching, your unwavering commitment to grow even when the world isn't applauding. You don't need to say you're disciplined if your body reflects it. You don't have to explain your boundaries if your behavior upholds them. Depth means you're not accessible to everyone because your energy is sacred, your time valuable, your peace earned. And when you walk like that, not because you were told to, but because you fought through your shadows and emerged grounded, people feel it. She feels it, the world feels it. There's a different frequency to a man who has faced his past, forgiven what needs forgiving, let go of illusions, and sharpened his purpose until it cuts through distractions. She leans in, not because she's chasing validation, but because your energy says, there's more here than I'll ever say out loud. That's what makes her eyes linger longer. What makes her thoughts return to you hours after you've left the room. You don't need to talk about your values when they show up in how you treat others, how you carry yourself under pressure, how you protect your vision from noise. You want to be remembered. Start by building an inner world so profound, so strong, that even those who only scratch the surface are changed by it. Sit in stillness, not because it's trendy, but because you know the clarity it gives you is non-negotiable. Reflect not to dwell, but to evolve. Let your curiosity lead you into books, conversations, and disciplines that stretch you beyond comfort. The men who fascinate don't flinch from their own complexity. They dive into it. From that place, they relate not from surface, but from substance. She doesn't need a man who tells her everything. She needs a man who is something, and the deeper you go into your own story, the more layers you bring into your presence. That's mystery. That's what captivates her. The feeling that this man is becoming more every day, and he's not waiting for the world to validate it. He's already chosen who he is. That's where your power lies. Number 6. Unbreakable boundaries. The moment she senses your boundaries bend with her emotions, her respect begins to fade. Not because she doesn't love you, but because the part of her that yearns for leadership feels unsafe. Boundaries aren't about control. They're about clarity, identity, and self-respect. A man who doesn't know where he ends and others begin is lost in emotional storms he can't navigate. You want to know why she tests you, pushes your limits, even when she says she hates conflict? It's not because she wants to argue. It's because part of her needs to know you won't abandon your standards for her approval. Every time you say yes when your soul screams no, you trade respect for temporary peace. And over time, she no longer sees the man, only the boy who needs her mood to feel steady. The man with unbreakable boundaries doesn't flinch when challenged. He holds firm, not with anger, but with certainty. He knows what's acceptable in his world and what's not. He doesn't negotiate his standards just to keep her close. He upholds them. So what stays in his life aligns with who he truly is. Ask yourself, when was the last time you blurred your lines just to avoid tension? Have you ever walked away from something you knew was wrong, even though your body wanted to stay? That kind of inner strength turns attraction into devotion. Because when she sees you draw a line and live by it, especially when it costs you comfort, she feels a trust that no words can create. She begins to rest, not because you cater to her feelings, but because your presence gives her something solid to trust. And this trust grows when you show consistency. You're not up one day and lost the next. You're not strong when she agrees and shaken when she doesn't. You are rooted, and that rootedness teaches her how to relax. Not because you're passive, but because you're precise. Boundaries also mean knowing what you stand for and who you are. You don't attend every argument. You don't tolerate disrespect, not even from her. You don't let your time be drained by people who only take you. Don't engage in conversations that violate your values. You don't sacrifice your truth to make others comfortable. This is the foundation of strength, choosing principle over pressure. If you want to be a man of unbreakable boundaries, start by defining what matters most to you. What do you value in relationships? What are your non-negotiables in communication? How do you want to be treated, and how will you enforce that standard? Without rage, but with firmness. Write it down, own it, live it. The men who lead the strongest relationships aren't those who avoid conflict. They're the ones who meet conflict with structure. They don't fight to win. They protect the container. They don't explode. They correct. They don't control others. They control access to themselves. This is where your power lies, not in dominating her decisions, but in deciding who gets to walk with you based on how they show up. Your energy isn't a public resource. Your attention isn't up for auction. Your life is your temple, and only those who treat it with reverence belong inside. When you live like this, your relationships stop draining you. They start refining you. You no longer fear being alone because you've chosen to be whole. And from that place, every woman you meet feels something rare. A man who doesn't just set boundaries, but embodies them. That embodiment is what makes her respect you. It's what makes her trust you, and it's what makes her stay. Here's what no one tells you. The moment you enforce your boundaries, you won't just lose people who never respected you. You'll find parts of yourself you abandoned to be liked. Every time you say no and mean it, you reclaim a piece of the man you were meant to be. And yes, people will push back. They'll question you. They'll accuse you of being selfish, cold, arrogant. Why? Because your strength exposes their weakness. Don't explain, don't justify, just remain. Because the man with boundaries doesn't chase, he attracts. He doesn't beg to be understood. He lives in a way that speaks for itself. She may get emotional, she may test the line, she may even threaten to leave. That's not your cue to fold, it's your cue to lead. And leading doesn't mean force. It means standing firm, unapologetic, rooted. Because when you show her, not tell her, that your peace won't be negotiated, she learns to rise to meet you or walk away. Either result strengthens you. The man with unbreakable boundaries doesn't argue about his worth. He walks. He doesn't tolerate chaos disguised as love. He doesn't confuse intensity with intimacy. He knows that the deeper the love, the clearer the structure must be. So if you're tired of feeling lost, tired of always giving more, ask yourself, what have I allowed that I should have ended? What have I tolerated that dishonored me? Where have I said yes out of fear instead of self-respect? Then make a decision, not just in your head, but in your habits. Boundaries aren't spoken once. They're lived daily. They're in how you answer your phone. They're in how you end conversations that cross the line. They're in the way you hold eye contact when someone tries to intimidate you. They're in the quiet confidence that you won't break your own rules for anyone. And the more you live this way, the less chaos will enter your life, because people who can't respect strength will find someone else to manipulate, and those who are ready to grow will meet you at your level. That is the power of unbreakable boundaries. You don't just protect your time, you protect your essence. You don't just avoid the wrong people, you attract the right ones. You don't just get more respect from others, you become someone you respect. And once that happens, everything in your life begins to align. You've listened this far because something inside you knows. You're done with half-truths, fake advice, and living beneath your potential. You're tired of giving everything and still being misunderstood. You felt what it's like to be the nice guy she loses respect for, the provider who gets ignored, the good man who gets left behind. And in a world that asks men to give more but respects them less, it's no wonder you feel like breaking, but you won't, because you've now seen the path. That's why I built the Stoic Relationship Blueprint, not just another book, but the most powerful, practical, brutally honest guide for men on becoming unshakable in love, life, and leadership. It's for the man done being confused, done being used, done being weak. This is your structure, your code. Your clarity, it's dropping in just a few days, but listen closely, this won't be available forever. We're capping sales to protect the wisdom inside, preserve impact, and ensure every man who gets it is serious. Once the limit's reached, it's over. No exceptions. So if you're ready to finally understand women, elevate your standards, protect your peace, and lead from your masculine core, comment Blueprint below. Be one of the first to claim it when it launches. Support this channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Every action helps us reach more men who need this. And if this spoke to you, if you felt understood for the first time in a long time, know this: your breakthrough is closer than you think.